Before this video starts, I just want to make a very clear disclaimer. Do not smoke, do not vape, do not do any drugs that will actively make your life worse. Except nicotine gum, because right now I am trying to convince myself not to do this little thing every other hour of my life. Because right now, well, first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Miguel Flores and I think I have ADHD. And I've been trying to make this YouTube thing my job for who knows how long. So I did something really crazy. I started taking nicotine, and I am the type of person that isn't just gonna start taking nicotine every hour, because I see how many stupid people are out there using vapes and cigarettes. And don't get me wrong, I really love smoking cigarettes, but I'm not addicted to it. I haven't smoked a cigarette in who knows how long. And that's a problem, because now I'm old and life is getting really hard. And it feels like every day I wake up, I need some type of stimulant. I feel like I either need caffeine, and now I'm tired of caffeine. So I'm trying to get onto this, because the more research I do on this, the more I realize this is kind of a miracle drug. Because, well, first off, let me just say, I'm not very smart. I say that because, objectively speaking, I should not be starting to take this. This is arguably one of the most addictive drugs ever. This is very bad for me, but I'm also very stubborn, and I want to figure out exactly why is this nicotine such a problem, because it's in cigarettes, it's in vapes, and I just want to know, can I get away with it? Because honestly, I heard Alex Hormozy talk about how amazing this nicotine is in terms of productivity. What's really funny is that now that I started taking this, it's really hard for me to not shake when I think about taking nicotine. Like, literally, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm really excited to take this little piece of gum. And that's a problem, because when I'm 60, 70 years old, I don't know if this is going to make me worse off, or if this is genuinely not going to do anything for me other than it's just a nice placebo. Because right now, the only thing I truly know is that I really like taking this, and that's why I'm making this video, because I need it as an excuse to make sure I'm not actively killing my brain. Oh, also, if you come to this video, don't do that. But if you came to this video already, don't expect me to talk about chemicals, because I'm gonna be very real with you. I'm not smart. I tried to research exactly what the chemicals are in this, and honestly, I stopped caring, because at a certain point, every chemical kind of does the same thing. Totally. I'm not a doctor, so don't take my advice seriously. So exactly what does nicotine do? In its simplest form, it just increases dopamine. And if you like listening to Andrew Huberman, you already probably know what dopamine does. But if you don't, dopamine just makes you feel good. It's all it really does. It makes you feel good, and it makes you feel good when you're doing a specific task. That is exactly why nicotine itself is very useful in regards of, well, not useful, it's just addictive. Because what ends up happening, and I'm sure you've seen it everywhere, everybody's brains are fried because we're constantly scrolling, we're constantly vaping, and some of us are constantly wanking. I know that from experience. I'm actually doing it right now under the... No, I'm just kidding. Let me tell you, as a guy with ADHD, the dopamine in my brain just from this little piece of gum is actually very nice. Like, I can actually just sit down and work for 3 hours straight just researching a topic and not feel an urge to go on my phone, or not feel an urge to go on a walk, or not even feel an urge to take care of my cat, because she's just right here. You can't really see her, but she's sitting in her little cuck chair. Squish. But yeah, what else does nicotine do? It decreases GABA. I honestly don't really know what GABA does. Like I said, I'm not a chemical guy. Maybe I'll do more research later in the video. All right, do you want a pro about nicotine? It doesn't cause cancer. Like I said, don't smoke cigarettes, because cigarettes, they give you cancer. Like, it's not an if, and, or but. With cigarettes, you're gonna have a heart attack, or you're gonna die of cancer very soon. Maybe. What actually causes cancer in cigarettes is the tobacco. So, in theory, if you just remove the tobacco and just take pure nicotine, it's not gonna give you cancer, hopefully. So, here's another awesome thing about nicotine. It might help with Alzheimer's. Now, I don't want to sit here and say like, oh yeah, it's definitive, it's gonna cure Alzheimer's, why aren't more people doing that? but I mean, it might help. If I'm going to be very real with you, I actually do worry about getting Alzheimer's or dementia in some way. It doesn't run in my family, thank God, but the fact that one day I could just wake up and not remember any of my life really scares me. So honestly, if I can just take this and there's a chance of my chance of getting Alzheimer's decreasing. And another positive of nicotine is it actually satisfies your oral fixation. Now then, I don't mean that in a gay way, but if you want to take that in a gay way, go right ahead. What I mean is that, well, this is for the smokers really. You know how when you're smoking and sometimes you just feel like you need something in your mouth because you've built that positive association when something is in your mouth, it feels really good? That sounds really gay now that I think about it, but that oral fixation might just come from the nicotine, because the only thing nicotine is really good at is getting you addicted to nicotine. And I remember I used to actually smoke a lot of cigarettes. Well, a lot is a strong word. I used to smoke maybe one cigarette every month or two, and I hate that because I actively remember being a very young kid and hating the smell of cigarettes. And at a certain point, life got so tough, I just decided to buy a cigarette, and it was awesome. And the smell no longer bothered me, and that awful tar taste no longer bothered me. And I recognized, hey Miguel, you're gonna get lung cancer if you keep doing this. So I immediately only forced myself to have one cigarette every month or two. And I only feel like personally I got into cigarettes is because I used to smoke a lot of weed, and I don't do that anymore because the panic attacks were starting to f me up in a really awful way, to the point where I even got the cops called on me and I had to go to a hospital, and they just chained me up and it felt like I died. That's why I like this, because this has never sent me to the hospital, and I trust this a lot more than a weed nugget. Oh yeah, don't swallow it. I think there's been some kids that have been poisoned by swallowing nicotine gum, so please, for the love of God, if you're stupid enough to take my advice and actually start taking this, good luck. I also need to mention, I'm not addicted to nicotine, not yet. That's what I've learned so far. I think in the next part of this video, I'm gonna look at the bad, because the bad scares me and I don't wanna look at the bad right now. I just wanted to talk about the good. Smash cut to the next part. Alright, so it's been a few days since I've started researching this video and I looked into the good, and now I'm standing here and I'm realizing, no, I've been lied to this whole time. Nicotine, it's not as bad as people think. Guess what? Do you know what the thing is in cigarettes that kills you? It's not the nicotine. No, it's the tobacco. But it feels like everybody inherently already knew that. It's just I'm stupid. Initially, what I wanted to do with this video is I wanted to be like, hey man, I bought a year's worth of nicotine gum and now it's awesome because now I can work all the time. But there's one major problem with nicotine that I'm really struggling with. And I'll tell you in a minute, but first let me tell you the side effects of nicotine gum. It can be things like mouth irritation, jaw pain, and you know what? Hiccups. Yeah. I remember when I first researched that, I was like, really? That's the worst of it? And then remember earlier in the video how I also mentioned that GABA is a thing that nicotine does and it decreases it? Well, it turns out after doing just a little bit more research, GABA is actually something you kind of need, because what GABA does is it decreases your anxiety levels. And if you have less of it, you are going to be more anxious. And all I'm saying is, if you thrive on anxiety and it pushes you to work, that's an even better reason to do nicotine gum. Because, hear me out, I like being stressed. My cat is pissing right now, and I don't want it to. I hope you know, you're not supposed to be pissing while I'm recording. Here's another bad thing about nicotine. It might raise your blood pressure. Sure, but honestly, I don't care. But, do you know what the real problem is with nicotine that everybody inherently knows? It's really addictive. Without nicotine, you wouldn't like cigarettes. Nicotine, objectively, is the most addictive drug ever. If you start taking nicotine gum, you're basically signing up for a monthly subscription to chew some gum. But imagine you get really addicted, and it turns out that nicotine might be really bad for you long term. That's when the problems really start, because nicotine withdrawals, oh buddy, let me read some for you. First, you really want more. Second, you get really bad mood swings. Third, your anxiety is objectively worse than anything you'll ever experience. You'll have trouble sleeping. You will likely have a very difficult time focusing without the nicotine. And honestly, it can make your depression a lot worse, because your whole body is gonna be like, hey man, I have no motivation to do anything anymore. I think I'm just gonna die. Imagine living a life like that for like 3 days to 3 weeks, because on average, that's how long it takes to get over the nicotine in particular. All of that being said, I still think you should take it. And you know why? Because honestly, you're already probably on caffeine, and caffeine is a drug, and it probably has some bad side effects for you if you do it all the time. There's honestly only one reason I haven't already spent like $50 buying an entire year's worth of nicotine gum, and it's just the fact that nicotine gum might actually mess up your insulin resistance. Now then, if you don't know me, I have a history of pre-diabetes running through my family, which, I mean, if you just look at some of my family, you can kind of tell. But there was a study done in the 90s that basically said your chances of you becoming diabetic rise if you start getting on nicotine. And they didn't talk about cigarettes, they were talking about just straight up nicotine. Here's the thing that gets me really excited and gives me hope. It's the fact that the study was only done on 20 people. It was done on middle-aged men who objectively are at a higher likelihood of developing diabetes. And you know what? I'm not gonna listen to science. That's the other thing. Science is stupid. I don't care. That's it. It's that simple. I don't care. If it gives me pre-diabetes, who cares? Because honestly, some of my family members kind of big and they're not diabetic. I think I'm gonna be okay as a man that is 22 years old. And I eat pretty lean and I work out all the time. All right, guess what I did? Yeah, I know, it's not the 300 pack, it's only 20, but the fact that I'm going out of my way to actively buy nicotine, not something on my bingo card. Yeah, I wanted it to be the 300 pack, but it would have come in like April, and it's the 29th of March, so, you know, what can you do? Come on, can you blame me? I just want to smoke my Nicorette, you know? You don't even smoke this. Recently, I've been watching a lot of Alex Hormozy's content, and he's arguably one of the best businessmen because he has specialized in helping businesses grow. And Alex Hormozy looks exactly like how I want, and he has the amount of money that I want, and he has the discipline that I want. And he directly talks about how nicotine gum was one of the best things he could have done. That's what I have to talk about this week. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless all of you. You be careful, okay? You drive home safe. Some of you might be watching this while you're driving, all right? Please don't watch videos while you're driving.